Okay guys, that's about the time we intended to start, so we'll get underway. Welcome to another of Motec's webinar series. My name is Jamie Augustine and today's subject is lap time gain loss, setup and usage. I'm just going to run through some slides today and just explain to you how you would use lap time gain loss and the value you can get out of it. Later on we're going to go through a video and I'm going to show you in some detail more about how the driver would utilise lap time gain loss to improve his laps. Okay, so the topics we are going to go through today are firstly what actually is lap time gain loss. After that we're going to talk about what a reference lap actually is. We're going to go through the process that you would have to do yourself to generate a reference lap within i2. We're going to set the reference lap up in the dash, and then after that we're going to display the lap time gain loss on the dash for the driver to view. Finally, we're going to have a driver's view at lap time gain loss and have a bit of a look at how the driver can utilise the value that he's seeing in front of himself. As with all of our webinars, we've got just a bit of a spiel about who we are, and most of you guys would already know things about Motec, such as we've been around for a while. We're basically a motorsport company, an Australian company that sells worldwide, but I won't go through that in any great detail. The guys you see here with all these lovely mug shots, they're the people that will be answering your questions when you ask anything on the forum via email or over the phone, and it's probably in your best benefit that my photo isn't on there today. Okay, so let's talk about what is lap time gain loss. Lap time gain loss is a constantly running reference of what your current lap is compared to a reference lap. So it's very much like when you play computer games. You're coming around a corner and down the bottom in Gran Turismo, it tells you that you're up by half a second or down by half a second, so you can see whether you're on a fast lap or whether you're on a slow lap. So it's constantly updated. It's not like the television view of gain loss where they only show you the changes at different sectors around the track. Gain loss is constantly showing you how you are comparing to your best lap. The gain loss value gets zeroed each time you pass the beacon, so you always start each lap compared to the fast lap that you are using at 0. There's a couple of channels required for this to actually work, and lap distance and running lap time channels are the ones that you need. Alright, so the process involves you setting a reference lap. What is a reference lap? A reference lap is the lap that you think is a good lap that you wish to compare to. So what's happening is you go out and you drive around your racetrack. When you get around the end of your racetrack, you come in and you open your log data and look and you say, hey, I've done a really good lap time. That's what I want to be able to beat the next time I go out. So how you would do that is explained later, but this becomes your reference lap. You send that to the dash, and each time you drive after that point, your current lap that you're driving on is compared to this fast one you did earlier in the weekend. It tells you whether you're going better or whether you're going worse than the one you have previously done. A useful use of the reference lap is when you're new to a team or new to a car, you can actually take a lap that a previous driver has done and put it in your dash. Or even somebody else that you're competing against who's friendly enough to give you his reference lap, you can also put that in your dash. So as you're coming out of a corner, you can look down and see whether you are faster than this other person's or your lap, or whether you're slower and in which part of the track that you are actually faster or slower. It's a very, very fast way to get a driver up to speed at a new track that he's never been to before. Now the reference lap itself, you actually have to create it in i2. So you have to download the log data, create the reference lap in i2, then send it back to the device. This is a process which is commonly done in professional motorsport. If you actually watch the V8 supercars in Australia at any time, you'll often see a guy during qualifying or practice walk out, download the log data, convert the data to a reference lap and send it back to the dash. It is part of the process that the data guy will do each time a session goes on. So now I'm going to go through the process with you on how you would actually create your reference lap. What I'm going to assume at this point is that you've gone out and you've done some laps around your local racetrack. You've done what you think is a really good lap time and you've come into the pits. Your data guys come up, or yourself if you're not large enough to have your own team. You've come in and you've downloaded the data out of your dash. So that was the data out of the previous session with the good lap that you wish to use. So once you've downloaded your data, you have to follow your normal process of opening i2 Standard and having a look at your data to select which lap you wish to be your reference. So the process for this is that you double click on i2 Standard and you open the normal project that you would use. In this instance, it would have to be the circuit project. So when you click on the circuit project, as every other time that you use i2 Standard, you will see this screen here, which is the circuit project and all the templates within the circuit project. At this point, it's all going to be blank, as you would normally see within a circuit project when you don't have any log data. So you would then have to open up the log data so you can select which of the laps you wish to use as a reference lap. So you left click on the File menu and click Open Log File. From here you would go through your log data, find the laps that you just did, select it and open it just as you would any other time. When you've opened a log file, you'll see the data appear in front of you like this. By default in i2, when you open a log file, we will always jump automatically to your fastest lap within that particular log file. So generally, you will actually already be on the lap you wish to create as your reference lap. You can select other laps if you are wanting to use a lap other than the one that is considered to be your fastest. You merely have to go to the data flyout on the left, and from within that data flyout, select whichever of the laps that you wish to create as your reference lap. You select it by selecting the main within the data flyout. Once you have the lap selected in front of you that you wish to become your reference lap, you can have a look and make sure everything appears as you would expect it to, just as you would with any other data within i2. Once you're happy that this is the lap that you wish to refer to when you're back in your car for the next session, click on File on the main menu, then create a reference lap. Make sure that the lap distance channel is in the log data, but if you clicked on the Create Reference Lap and you didn't have lap distance channel logged, it would come up with an error telling you that the lap distance channel has to be logged for reference laps to work. So keep that in mind. When you set up your dash to create this reference lap, you have to go into the log data settings and you have to make sure that you have added to your list of channels that you're going to log the channel called lap distance. The reference lap in i2 is really a comparison of lap distance versus time, which is why you actually have to have the lap distance channel logged. When you have selected I want to create a reference lap, i2 will create it for the main lap in the data you're looking at. This window will actually pop up and tell you this is the source lap. So this is useful for you just to have a quick look and ensure that you are using the lap that you expected. So the reference lap in this instance is lap 2 from 9:53 AM. It's the second warm-up and it's from a track called Calder Park Raceway in Victoria. That track in that file is actually the sample file that you get with i2 when you load it, if you want to have a play with this yourself. When you say I'm going to generate a reference lap in i2, you need to just click the Save button, and then it goes off and creates a reference lap. If you look at the file name that it's going to use down the bottom, the file name it uses the track name as the part of the file name, then in brackets it shows you what the lap time is going to be. So therefore, when you next go to try to open up the reference lap, you'll be looking for folder 1minute 3.682.td1. You'll see later on you don't actually need to remember that because it'll show you a list of what's available, but it just verifies for you that you are writing the reference lap that you expected to write. Now you have already saved your reference lap. It's time to go and place that reference lap into the dash for it to start working. So you need to open SDL3 Dash Manager or whichever type of dash that you have. This will work, the lap time gain loss will work on an ACL, an old ADL, an ADL2, an SDL, SDL3. Basically any of our dashes can perform this function. So start up your Dash Manager. Once your Dash Manager is started, then you need to click on the Calculations main menu and then click on Lap Time Gain Loss. What we're doing here is actually setting up the display of lap time gain loss on your dash. When in this screen, you need to tick on that I want to see either running difference, predicted lap time, predicted speed, or final difference. These are your options on lap time gain loss, and some people prefer one option rather than another. If you show predicted lap time, as you go over the start finish line, it will show you that you're going to do a 1 minute and 3.9 second lap time, for example. As you come out of turn 1, if you've been a little bit slow, it may be suggesting to you you're going to do a 1 minute 4.5 lap time. And if you pick up a bit of speed through the next corner, it may then tell you you're going to do a 1 minute and 3 lap time. So it's going to show you what it expects at this current speed your end lap time is going to be. The predicted lap speed is more for those people who are using lap speed as their determiner of their lap time. So that's often the oval track guys in the US, where their lap speed is how they determine who's fastest. So we can predict what your average lap speed is going to be around a given track. We can show you what the final difference is going to be with a lap time gain loss final, but in reality the most common and the one I'm going to refer to today is running difference. Lap time gain loss running is the value that shows you instant information about whether you are fast and where you are slow on a lap as a plus or minus value referring to your reference lap. Down the bottom you can actually change the output polarity. So negative means I'm going fast or positive means I'm going fast. The most common way to set this up is negative means I'm going fast. So what that means is as you come around and out of a corner, if you see minus 1.2, it means you're 1.2 seconds faster than your reference lap. That is the most common setup for it, and I would suggest you use negative when ahead of reference lap. Don't go changing this back and forth because it ends up being quite hard for the driver to remember which way around the positive and negative actually is. Once you've set this up, you'll then have a channel called lap time gain loss running, which you have available to display to the driver, and also data log if you wish to. So in here we're going to set the reference lap in the SDL3. You do that by selecting online and set reference lap in the online menu. When you select that, you'll be given the open reference lap box where you can go and select which of the reference laps you wish to use. In this instance we've only got two, the Calder and the demo, but often you'll have lots of track names and lots of different reference laps from each track to select from. As you highlight one of the reference laps, down the bottom you'll see it gives you information about the reference lap so that you can help make sure that this is the one that you really want. It'll tell you the venue, the date and time, the car, so this is chassis 11A is what that car is. It'll tell you which session it is, which is session 2. It'll tell you which lap it is, which is lap 2. It'll tell you the lap distance, the lap time, and any comments. So when you have a list of, say, 30 reference laps in here, and you're trying to work out which one to use, you can just keep highlighting different reference laps and ensuring down the bottom which one is the one you actually wish to use. Once you've chosen the reference lap that you wish to use, you just need to click Open on the Open Reference Lap box, and that will take you back to the Set Reference Lap window. From here you can place any corrections or beacon offsets. I would suggest to you that you try to avoid using corrections or beacon offsets where possible. Try to make sure, if you are doing reference laps, that you always put your beacons in exactly the same location each day. If you have GPS beacons, this becomes quite easy, as you just send the same beacon latitude and longitude each time. If you're using a physical beacon in a pit lane, my suggestion to you is place some sort of mark somewhere in the pit lane so that each time you come back to the track, you're able to put your beacon in exactly the same place. Any offset on your beacon position makes the lap time gain loss very difficult to actually use. Once you have selected the lap, you need to actually click the Send button on the bottom left corner of the box. If you were just to click Close, you haven't actually done anything. You've selected, but you haven't actually pushed the reference lap into the dash itself. When you click Send, a box will appear as it forces the information into the dash, and at the end of it will say it has sent the reference lap, and you just click OK to close everything. It sounds like a fairly long operation, but once you get used to doing this, you can do it very quickly, where you press F8 to click Download in your dash. You open up i2 already before you get started. You open the lap that you just downloaded, click Create Reference Lap, flick straight back to Dash Manager, click Online, Set Reference Lap, Send. So the process can take as little as 20 seconds to do, and that's why you can often see the guys in pit lane doing this job very, very quickly. It's worthwhile practicing the process at home, in your workshop, or at the garage before you get to the track, so that when you need to do this in a hurry, you're fluent in the process and you can make the updates. It is a type of thing that you want to update continually. A reference lap in a dash will help you, but if you beat the reference lap, I would suggest that you should consider updating the reference lap in the dash. So if you did a 1 minute and 4.5 lap time around Calder Park Raceway, and then you beat it by 1.2 seconds, when you come into the pits the next time, you should download that and send the new reference lap to the dash. This way you're constantly updating your goals, keeping your goals above what your current performance is, giving you something to always aim for. So the next and most important part of this is, what's the driver actually going to see and how do you use it? When you're driving a car with lap time gain loss displayed, the driver gets instantaneous feedback. He can find out which corner he's losing most of his time on. Not only that, he can also tell which part of the corner he's losing or gaining most of his time. The driver can work out, is this lap going to be a fast one? Or should the driver come in and pit for a change? Or should he complete the lap? So a good example of this is that you're at the racetrack, you've got a 15-minute qualifying session. You're running around and you look down at your gain loss and you see you're half a second off your fastest. You can stop that lap, back the car off, let everything cool down, look for a better gap in the traffic, make a run up to the start and start your lap time again. This is one of the big advantages. You don't continually just fry your tyres lap after lap, not being too sure if this is going to be your fast one or not. If you're in a racing team where you've got second and third sets of tyres to use, you can decide as you come onto the front straight whether you should pit or whether you should finish the lap based on your lap time gain loss. If you're doing a very good lap time, you're better off finishing off the lap and then coming in. But if you're already on a bad lap time, it's often best to ignore that lap, come in, make changes and then go back out. Lap time gain loss is an excellent way to best utilise a practice session as practice session times are often far less than you really need, and so you need to make the absolute most of the time you have available. How's the driver actually going to see this in the car? Well, what you can see in the picture in front of you is that in this instance we have put a text down the bottom of the display saying fast lap. And on the right hand side next to that, you can see that in this instance this driver at this point in time on the track is 0.2 of a second faster than his reference lap. So that's the type of thing the driver is going to see. As he comes out of a corner it might be 0.2, and at the end of the straight he might be minus 0.5, so he gained 0.3 of a second down the straight. I'm now going to go to a video and I'm going to talk you through the video. The video is going to show you how exactly it would look to a driver. On this video here, I have in front of you the Sepang racetrack. The two cars involved are shown with a red dot and a black dot. The black dot is the driver who has been to this track numerous times. The red dot is a person who's come there to drive at the Sepang Raceway who hadn't been there before. The red mark on the track map is actually showing you where the start finish line of this track is. Down the bottom right hand corner I'm showing to you exactly what the driver would see displayed on his dashboard. So at the moment it's showing 0.01 second. So here you are sitting in the car, you're going down the front straight at Sepang, and you can see 0.01 on your dashboard in the bottom row as I showed to you earlier. So this says to you, I'm already 0.01 of a second slower than my reference lap. No big deal, they go up and down in a little bit as you're coming down the straights. Let's play the straight until we get through to the exit of the first corner and you'll see what the driver would see. As you can see, this number is actually increasing to 0.1, 0.14, 0.15. So this is telling the driver that I'm losing time all the way down the straight here. So during this instance, the driver, when he came onto the front straight, has made a bit of an error and he's losing time down the straight. One of the things this will actually tell you is you need to work on your corner exit from the previous corner, because this exact same car at this exact same track was able to go 0.15 of a second faster down this straight from the start finish line to this corner than it was on the lap that you're currently on. In fact, if you look at the red and the black dot, it visually shows you just how far the driver has lost in a straight line. This isn't acceleration, this is a poor exit from the previous corner. So how does the driver use this? Well, when you are driving down the straight, if you see the number going up, 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 it tells you instantly that your corner exit from the previous corner was bad. If it's staying even, it means that your corner exit was equal to your reference lap. And if it was going down, it says to you you're going faster than your reference lap. So it's helping the driver work out what is a good corner exit. So let's have a look what happens through this first set of corners. Up to this point, the driver has now lost 0.3 of a second compared to his reference lap. So he would have braked a little bit earlier and lost a bit of time under brakes and carried slightly less speed through this corner. So straight away the driver can see, I really have done a poor job from here to here. Now where we are, we're back at 0.15. The driver has actually gained some time in between those two corners. So he had a look down and said, oh geez, I've done poorly down that straight. So he's gone deeper and carried more speed through the middle of this first corner at Sepang and gained a hell of a lot of time. About half of what he's lost has been recovered. So straight away that's told the driver that was quite good through the middle of that corner. That's something I want to do next time. But some gains also have losses depending on where you do them on the track. So let's watch what happens when we exit this corner and go down the main straight around the back at Sepang. So although he gained through the middle of that corner, if you look now, watch the number increase, 0.6, 0.7. So you can see the corner exit at that last corner has caused the driver to lose time all the way down the next straight. So although he gained a small amount from going hard in between the two corners, he lost it down the next straight. So you can see from this very, very clearly that the driver needs to work on his speed on corner exit. So this is instant feedback. The driver does not need to come back in to be told this. He can look down as he's coming up that back straight and see the time bleeding away, knowing he's done a bad job on corner exit, and this is the part of the track where he needs to focus most. So let's have a look at what they do under brakes here. A small amount of time has been gained under brakes during the entry into turn 3. But again on the exit of turn 3, more time's been lost on the exit and coming down the next straight. So you can see this driver has generally got a lot of problems with his method of coming out of corners. No problems under acceleration, no problems on the middle of the corner, and as you can see here, we've gained a little bit of time back in the entry to the fast corner. But on the exit of this corner, you can see the time bleeding away again. It would be quite straightforward for a driver to understand what he's doing wrong here. I'm going in hard into the corners, I'm trying to carry lots of mid-corner speed, but I'm losing out on the corner exit. Because this track has such long straights, I'm losing more down the straights than I'm gaining in the middle of the corner. So you would be talking to the driver here about slowing down on the corner entry, maybe going a bit easier on the corner entry, carrying maybe a little bit less speed through the middle of the corner so that you can get a better exit, because the exit is where all the time is being lost. Again, gained a little in the middle of the corner there and lost it all the way down the straight again. Corner exit. It's such a big thing in these sort of race cars. This is actually a Honda Integra front wheel drive. Again, gained a whole lot on the corner entry there and lost it all on the corner exit again. Gained on the corner entry and lost on the corner exit. Now the driver's going to continue around the track and finish off, but straight away at this point in time the driver knows he's 1.9 seconds slower than his reference lap. So you know this isn't going to be a good one. The driver at this point can choose, righto, I'm down by 2 seconds, I'm getting worse down the straight, I'm losing more and more time. I can come in, change the tyres, I can back off, get myself a bit more room, I can come in and look at the data and try and analyse what I can do better. But he really can just continue around knowing he just needs to work on his racing lines, work on his corner exits, get a better run out of the corners. And then slowly he can pick up this time by working on the things that he can tell from this lap time gain or loss are causing him the most problem. And as you can see, the lap time gain loss has gone back to 0 as the lap has been completed. So this is worthwhile. If you've got a driver who's going to use lap time gain loss, this is a useful video to show him about what he's going to see on the screen as he's driving around. He's going to see the number increasing when he's losing time. He's going to see it increasing down the straights when he's done a bad corner exit. He's going to see it decreasing under brakes if he's done a good brake. He's going to be able to tell exactly what part of the track he was going well and what part of the track he was going poorly. Especially with a low performance car, you can really hone in on the places where most of the time is going to be available to you. And in a front wheel drive like this, corner exit is king. It is far more important than everything else. But on some other cars, you may find other sections of the track are far more important to you. I can give you an example of this. With a car that I raced quite some time ago, I was spending a great deal of time trying to get my lap times back to where they usually were, but I wasn't using lap time gain loss. And I was sure I was going really slowly under brakes at the end of the really long front straight. I went deeper under brakes every lap, and then deeper and deeper and deeper under brakes in the end of the front straight, trying to improve my lap time. Yet at the end of the session, I was still over a second off what the time is that I usually do. When I finally got back to my data and had a look, I could see that I was going faster at the end of the front straight than I'd ever been at any other time in this car. But my actual problem was over on the back straight, where I wasn't accelerating hard enough on the exit of another corner. Using lap time gain loss, this would have been immediately obvious. I wouldn't have had to have come in and downloaded the data to find this information out. I very quickly would have realised all the times being lost over the back and been able to work on my lines through there, and therefore end up with a better qualifying position without finishing the session and finding out later what I really should have done. Lap time gain loss is not necessarily just for the amateur. Speaking to professional drivers such as Craig Lowndes and Craig Baird, they use this every time they go racing. This is how they are able to quickly get back to speed and make improvements in sections on the track and best utilise their track time. Speaking to Craig Baird at Sepang, he said, "I really would struggle to be able to do the lap times I do as quickly as I do without lap time gain loss." He says he doesn't like driving cars without it because that's what he uses to make himself quick. So don't feel like this is a beginner's tool. This is a tool no matter what level you're at with lap time gain loss. So as you can see, lap time gain loss is a useful tool. It's quite quick to set up, and it'll give you information that will better utilise your track time. I hope you've got some benefit out of today's webinar. Thank you for attending the webinar, and we'll be on our website. The webinar will be on